Did you guys know that 80% of ranked is draft? Meaning that if you're not even that good, if you have the better matchup, you're probably going to win. And with this meta right now, it honestly might even be 90%. Because if they have a Hank and a Mr. P, or if you do, the team with the Hank or the Mr. P is probably going to win. Now today I'm going to show you guys how to get good at drafting and other strategies to win your ranked games. Now the first tip is to think what your opponents would hate to face and then picking that brawler. And this is good because sometimes you just don't see it. But if you think as the opponents, as their comp, what you would hate to face, then usually you can find a better brawler to pick. Now in this situation, I realized that they don't have a wall break. They have Lou and Penny. So I thought, well, if I was them, what would I hate to face? And I thought, well, Dynamite. Because you can't really kill it, it's just going to be there annoying you the entire game. Now the second tip of today's video is to realize if your enemies deal damage. And when I mean damage, I mean true damage. Now this is a perfect example because they have Charlie and Lou and Leon. Now you may think that those are tank counters, but really if you think about it, Lou doesn't kill tanks, he freezes them. Charlie doesn't kill tanks, she uses her super on them. And this is what a lot of teams mess up when they do drafts. They pick quote-unquote tank counters, but they don't have any damage. They really just freeze tanks or stun tanks or do something to tanks, but they don't actually kill the tank. Another really important thing is synergizing with your teammate. So for example, if your teammate goes Hank, you go Poco to help him. If your teammate goes Angelo on Knockout, you go Gene to help him. Things like that are very important in draft. There's also something called ego picking. And ego picking is where you pick a brawler that doesn't synergize with your team, but you can 1v3 them on it. Now, unless you're like a pro esports player, going Mortis into 3 sharpshooters is not a good idea. I recommend synergizing with your team, but there are times where if you get horrible randoms, ego picking a brawler might be the only way to win. Now here's how to know when to ego pick. If your teammates are drafting, for example, it's Knockout, and they have first pick, and they pick Edgar, then you will know it's probably you're going to need to ego pick. But most of the time, if they have like decent IQ drafts, it's not a good idea to ego pick. Now the last part for this video is going to be the meta. Now here's the meta right now. The meta always changes, but we're going to go pretty in depth into this current meta and certain things that are very good on certain maps. Now starting off with the gem grab meta, we have Janet and Gus as middles. And a middle is basically a brawler that holds the gems. And there are a lot of lanes, so I'm only going to list the top few. By far, the 2 top lanes are going to be Ollie and Mr. P. And then the other good lanes are Tara, Buster, Ash, Rico, Surge, Carl, Amber, and lastly, Sandy. Now Hot Zone. Now Hot Zone can be a lot of things, but mainly the top brawlers are going to be Mr. P, Hank, Gray, Lou, and Barry. Now with Hot Zone, you either go healing with tanks or you go damage. And most of the time, the healing comps are better. It really depends what you're drafting into. Now next up, we have Brawl Hockey. Now with Brawl Hockey, the main brawlers that you're going to want to play are going to be Hank, Gray, Melody. Now those are the best 3, but the other decent brawlers are going to be Stu, B, Meeple, Ollie, and lastly Max. Basically anything with either really high damage or really high mobility is going to be very good in Brawl Hockey. Now next up we have Knockout / Bounty. I'm putting these together because I'm lazy and they're both basically the same thing. Now basically in these modes, anything with either long range or that's a thrower is going to be very good. For example, Sprout, Piper, etc. Also, do not run kit comps in Knockout because unless you're last picking kit in a very rare scenario, 99% of the time you do not want to play kit. Anyways, that's going to be today's video. If you guys enjoyed this and learned something, please subscribe, comment, share with your friends. It really helps me out. It helps the algorithm out a lot. So I appreciate it and have a nice night or day.